Welcome. Thank you for joining us for this edition of Scope. Daru Correctional Institution, which was condemned in 2019, to date, nothing has been done to rehabilitate or maintain the facility. The condemnation comes after Western Provincial Health Authorities found out that detainees in the prison had been sick. Similarly, Daru Police are also facing the same problems affecting the daily operations of policing on the island to living in rundown houses and operating from rundown facilities.
Since the condemnation of the Daru Correctional Services in 2019, little to no support has been forthwith to rehabilitate and maintain the facility. Acting Jail Commander for Daru CS Police says there are still waiting funding from Southfly and the Western Provincial Administration.
The Southfly District administration authorities were present, and they assured us that some money will be allocated to do maintenance and reconstruction and building of this Daru Correctional Institution. They assured that 989,000 plus was to be allocated, and since then we are still waiting for that funding to come in.
Inspector Puri said Daru has the police, the courts, but there is no correctional facility to house lawbreakers, especially when Daru shares two international borders with Indonesia to the west and Australia to the south.
The police arrest, the offenders are taken to the court to hear their cases, and where will they serve their jail term? So the jail must be maintained, must be reopened, so that detainees will be kept here, and that every detainee will be visited by family according to law.
On top of this dilemma is the welfare of CS staff, including housing.
My department, the Correctional Service, my commissioner has given me first 30,000, and we did minor maintenance to the staff houses. And since the staff houses were built, there wasn't any maintenance to these houses, and the houses are not in good state. We have some money also coming in, which my commissioner has given me. When that money comes, we will do maintenance of the prison facilities, especially the detainee compound, both male and female, and as well as staff houses.
Also suffering is the Daru Police Command, which has been trying to do the work of CS. However, the stress is becoming too much as the police cell is busting at the seams, unable to accommodate prisoners, including the convicted and those on remand. Its caretaker, Inspector Saiwa Rika, said the facility cannot continue providing any other services like water, power and sewage. Food is also a problem.
At the moment, the cell blocks here in Daru are nearly full. They're all full because my cell can hold only, it has a capacity for only 30 detainees or prisoners. But at the moment I have 43 being detained in the cells, which is over the limit of 30. And I also run out of food very fast because we feed them 2 times a day. So food is another problem that I face here.
Like the CS staff, Inspector Rika said a major concern for officers is housing. Many of what is occupied were built in the 60s, and although they are quite rundown, officers and their families still occupy them.
Time after time, this police barracks has been condemned. And I do not know the answers. We have submitted requests. We have submitted our papers to Southfly District Administration and even to Provincial Administration. But I have not received any. From my point of view, or my knowledge, I have not received anything from them yet. From police headquarters, there's no answers yet. But let me say that desperately we really need either maintenance or otherwise renovations for all houses. All houses are in very bad conditions. Steps are breaking, policemen and the posts are also breaking off, because of our air being full of salt humidity. So it gets onto any metal and rusts it. And once the rust settles, it's vulnerable for breaking. So that's what exactly is happening with all our metal structures that have been put on our house, and especially with the posts and steps and the louver frames and all this. And all the houses are in very bad shape.
Both the police and CS heads in Daru are calling for the provincial and national government to look into the matter and come to their aid.
We urgently need somebody to at least come in and assist us. And that's one of those contributing factors that is putting the morale of our policemen down. My policemen performance is also, and it's also affecting the disciplinary side of the matter. So we really need somebody to come in and assist us with our housing.
The lack of medical supplies has become a concern for residents on Daru Island. Besides a lack of power and water supply, residents have raised concerns over the non-availability of medicines, especially in a place where disease is rife. Daru Hospital Chief Executive Officer Dr. Nico Watai has made moves to address this issue with the purchase of medicine.
Adding to the lack of basic government amenities is that there is no proper process in how medicine and medical equipment is brought to Daru Hospital. Daru Hospital Chief Executive Officer Dr. Nico Watai says he would like to know what is involved in ensuring sufficient medical supplies reach them. He added that medicine shortage is an ongoing problem in Daru and Southfly.
The hospital over the years really have been neglected, and I fear that within the next year or so it's going to be very unsafe for patients and for staff to work in that hospital.
The Western Provincial Health Authority is said to be working hard with representatives from all three districts to ensure sufficient medical supplies reach their people. Meanwhile, patients are usually turned back or asked to use home remedies depending on the medical condition. When that happens, the island residents travel using dinghies to nearby Torres Strait Islands in Queensland, Australia to seek medical attention.
Our team actually previously it was quite rough to send our team to vaccination, but recently there's good weather, and our team are now planning to go for vaccination campaign around Moorhead area, TVWAN, and our team will also be working along the Western Treaty villages to improve the coverage along there, and they'll be doing that all of next week. We're very fortunate that we have been able to that there is a clinic at TVWAN, and we've been able to get that clinic up and running. We have staff there, and we're providing a whole range of services, and at the moment there is no reason to cross the border, and where previously people were going across to Boigu and Saibai to get medical treatment. Now those services can be provided at TVWAN, and if you do go to Saibai, they will promptly send you back to go to TVWAN to get your services. So yes.
Dr. Watai said the current COVID-19 pandemic, the situation has become much tougher for residents, the sick and hospital staff as well. At least 17,000 people have been vaccinated, but the rest remain skeptical about getting the COVID-19 vaccine.
As you know, the Western PHA is a new entity, and all the health facilities, including the assets, have now been handed over to us, and unfortunately in a very bad state, as you mentioned. So Moorhead is one of those facilities, and I'm happy to inform you that Western PHA has now signed an MOU with PNG STP to to put up a facility similar to TVWAN in Moorhead. So that facility now will, with assistant of PNG-STP, will be upgraded to provide a wide variety of services. They will also going to have a surgeon and doctors stationed there, so it will provide a lot of relief for a lot of people there.
Dr. Watai is happy that despite skepticism in getting jabbed, residents have been following COVID-19 protocols. Meanwhile, the CEO of Daru Hospital says there are plans to develop the hospital.
Our priorities is to look at our hospitals and then we look at our health centers where our populations are. For example, Moorhead and Mogulu area, or where our populations are, we intend to focus on those things, on those key facilities, and then look at our aid post.
When we come back, a rehabilitation program that outlines Daru's infrastructure needs but continues to collect dust. Welcome back. Daru Town Rehabilitation Program has been compiled, but there is a lack of attention and funding resources to implement it. Daru Town Mayor Samuel Wingu is concerned over the lack of attention given to the provincial capital of Western Province.
For 30 years, the once ever popular island town of Daru in Western Province has had its fair share of fame and glamour. Today, it lies in shambles. Daru, the provincial capital of the province that hosts the Oktedi mine, is desperate for government attention and intervention. Town Mayor Samuel Wingu says funding is a continuous challenge to keep the town's basic government services operating. He said a proposed Daru Town rehabilitation project is one solution that can fix the many problems that Daru is currently facing.
I have copies of the condemnations report that are all here. I have the correctional services being condemned, the police station lockup condemned, the post PNG condemned, National Broadcasting Commission condemned, Daru Secondary School, the hybrid toilet condemned. We also have other condemnations that the documents, the copies of the condemnations will be made available to me in due course.
Wingu said Daru Island residents are suffering. He has also described the township as unconducive to live in.
The town that whose province generates about a quarter of the revenue of this country, but for national government not giving back anything back into rehabilitating and restoring this town is a huge setback for us.
He has come to the support of caretakers of vital government agencies to say that the correction services, police, education and health are among the worst affected. Wingu agreed that police housing is all run down with no proper sewage system, no water and power connections. Similarly, CS staff housing is suffering. Even more, road links on the island township are also in poor conditions and there is no proper market for residents.
I came up with the project that is called the Daru Town Rehabilitation Project. Got son of Western Province who documented the road and documented and expanded the project. The project called the Daru Town Rehabilitation Project. I had it approved in my local level government, in the Southfly DDA of the current member Seki Agisa, who's the chairman, and I also had it approved in the Provincial Executive Council. After it was been approved, nothing was done about advancing the cause of the document, so that more than 3/4 of the problems of this town are all captured in the Daru Town Rehabilitation Project. And I have here with me, this is the copy of the project document that I have. It's a comprehensive project. It's about 10 components. 10 components with 43 outputs and 45 sub-outputs. That basically outlines what needs to be done in this town to restoring this town. Apart from the road and the water water supply that we don't have, not adequate. But just about everything is all captured in the document. But I don't know, for some reason our political leaders of the province and the national government did not want to give some prominence to it, and having the document given some level of funding so that we could start working on some components and sub-components of the project, so to see that the town is restored to a stage where it looks like a provincial capital.
The Daru Town Mayor said after years of hard work, a proposed plan of the Daru Town Rehabilitation Program is now available. It has been cited by the government and they are awaiting funding to implement it.
Currently, you see Daru Town it doesn't resemble a provincial capital town, although we boast of having a lot of money, amongst other rich provinces of the country. We really have no excuse at all. You see that town in itself, it's a total embarrassment to the political leaders of the province, the national government as well, and all different levels of administrations of the province. I have been very much vocal about this town. I did a media drive. I did what I could do for this town in my capacity. I'm only a local level government. I can't do much because the financing and the issues of having capital at my disposal, they are not there. But I can only come up with a document like this that paves the way and sets the foundation for the restoration of this town.
Wingu hopes that Daru Town Rehabilitation Program will restore life back into the provincial capital.
We have the police barracks condemned. We have the defense force supply base condemned. We have the Daru market condemned. We have the ports PNG condemned. We have the national works yard and the facilities inside all condemned. And that basically means that the entire town is condemned. And to add on to this, the town does not have adequate water supply. The people who are connected to the PNG water PNG network, it's only about 38% are connected to the existing water PNG network. The other 62%, they are getting water from elsewhere, maybe from the bore wells or dugout wells. We don't know where they're getting water, but they are still surviving. So that is why I need the national government to come good, and our political leaders, as they are in government. All of them are in government. I believe it's only James Donald who is in the opposition. But he can also partner with them and ask the national government to come good to especially Daru Western Province. We have a lot of money, but I think if the government does not come good quickly, we as a province, using some of our resources, some of our funds that we are keeping elsewhere, or some dividends that have been paid to the province, we must use them to start giving some prominence to this town, to reviving and restoring this town back to its glory days.
After the break, Gabonais welcomes a new church infrastructure, but also celebrates the life of the man who made this a reality with faith and perseverance. Gabonese village in the Rigo coast of Central Province gathered together with the United Church clergy on Saturday, 30th October, to celebrate the grand opening of a classic modern-day church built from local sweat. At the same time, they celebrated the life of late John Iru, the man who was behind this significant project, only to be called to be with the Lord just days before the church's grand opening.
It will be an unforgettable event as on the same day, the life of the initiator of this church project was also celebrated through the funeral of late John Iru, which also took place on that day. The congregation was graced by the presence of the moderator of United Church of PNG. Gabonese Church Project was a dream project of late John Iru, an elite from the village and son of a retired deacon, dreamed the design of the church he wanted to build for his church and local congregation. Deacon Kakasi Say related that when late John got the vision, he shared it first with his immediate family and relatives.
John brought his siblings together, his cousins, his uncles and aunties, and John pointed out what he had in mind. He gave them this challenge. I have something important in my mind and I want to share it with you. If you don't want to follow me, that's okay. But once I start this building, church building, I will never turn back. I will move on and on until I finish the church building. And that happened.
Late Iru went through many ways to fundraise for this church, even using his own resources to kickstart the project, getting all the villagers involved. A major fundraiser in 2003 with a walkathon starting from Reverend Sionikami Memorial Church at 5 Mile in Port Moresby to Hula with the church congregation. It took the faithful 3 days to complete the walkathon, raising 12,000 kina as initial funds. Deacon Kakasi said a groundbreaking ceremony took place in 2005, and in 2007, the first post was erected. That was when the people saw the miraculous hand of God.
God blessed our village with 500 yellowfin tunas. Our fishermen went down, and even before the nets were thrown in, this yellowfin tuna just came ashore, and that was the greatest miracle. First post with 500 yellowfin tuna.
Now isn't this working according to the will of God? The dream reached its full maturity and a grand opening planned for 30th October 2021. It was indeed a grand occasion because on this day also a funeral service was held for this hero of faith who was called home a few days short of seeing his dream. Through his dedication and faithfulness to the local church, late John Iru was noted among the elite and the clergy of the church. It was evident in the presence of other church denominations present. Moderator Bernard C.I. went prepared to thank John Iru for his commitment and dedication to accomplishing a project that will serve the faithful for generations to come. However, he had come too late, as John had already gone home to glory to receive a greater reward.
On behalf of the church, the United Church as a whole, I want to express my gratitude to especially to late John Iru, express to his family and the church in Gabon, and I want to acknowledge what God has done in the life of this young man. On behalf of the United Church, I want to express our thank you to late John Iru for the contributions he did in the church, especially in this part of the church in Gabon and East Central Papua region, Gabagaba Seket.
The main celebrant, East Central Papua Region Bishop, Right Reverend Cora Taboro, declared that late John Iru would always be remembered through his workmanship, the church building. He said this church is the evidence of late John Iru's knowledge, gifts and talents, which will be remembered from generations to come.
Late Diacono John will never be forgotten. Can we say amen? Because this is him we can see here. That's what God has given to him. The talents, the ability, and the knowledge. He did not misuse what God gave him, but he returned it to the church. Praise God.
Although the opening date was planned for in advance to take place on 30th of October, the church building interior was not really completed. There were last touches like the steps and tiling that still need to be put in place. With the church building, late John Iru left a legacy of commitment to Christ as the source of life. His own daughter recollected some of his discipline and mentoring towards the Christian faith.
I have so many stories of my dad, but one thing he made sure that I never forget is his God. I remember he bought a laptop for me 5 years ago and made sure he wrote a sticky note saying, "Jasmine, always remember your dad's God and you will never fail in life." I never removed that sticky note till this day. Dad is a mentor to many. Just from his passing, I finally realized the struggle he went through, building the church and having issues from work, etc. Just from his passing, I finally realized the amount of friends he had and the amount of love he gave out. How many people he mentored and the compassion he had for his priorities. We all know that Dad's priorities go God first, his wife, his kids, and the rest of the world.
For some reason, and only God knows, though the building still needed finishing touches, the building project leader and the church committee decided it was time to officiate the opening of this grand church building, only to coincide with the funeral service of the one who dreamed the project.
And that ends this year's season of Scope. A kind reminder to apply simple measures to prevent the transmission of the coronavirus. Regularly wash your hands with soap and water, cough or sneeze into your elbow, and exercise social distancing. If you are feeling sick, please stay at home. You can also call the COVID-19 hotline number for more information or assistance. Thank you for your company. Have a very Merry Christmas and a prosperous 2022.